What's up, guys? It's TJ Shafer. I'm here with my brother again. Say what's up, Paul.
His brother from the same mother. It's Paul Shafer.
Yep, absolutely. And we got kind of a different show for you today, and we're doing a little video. So if you're not, if you're just listening to this, you're going to use your imagination a little bit probably. And
they're going to have to use it a lot.
Well, maybe not so much because we're still going to talk about some cool stuff.
Yeah, but, for sure.
You know, for the most part, though, we're going to be showing off some gear and things like that. And, you know, be sure to check out the YouTube channel. It's, I guess it's the Huntcast. You
That's
know,
it.
On
Just
YouTube.
Search the Huntcast. You'll see it.
And you'll see it pop up. But anyway, we got the specialist of guest today with us, and it's us.
It's us. Well, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of basically going to be hosting today.
A little
is
bit,
scary.
yeah. Well, I'm a little nervous too because we got this video crap going on as well, and
You got your Fred Durst hat on.
Hey, yeah, I do actually. You know what's funny is I thought about that.
TJ used to be a big Limp Bizkit fan.
No, that's
yeah,
not,
you did.
Whatever.
You had the red Yankees hat and everything.
I did. I don't remember that, but anyway, I'm rocking a Texas Ranger hat today because I support the Texas Rangers, even though they suck and they're not really getting anywhere. So I just flipped my hat around the right way and repping the Rangers.
And I support H-Town, Houston, Go Stros, Go. Never jumped on a bandwagon. Been a fan of Orbit the mascot ever since I was in kindergarten in Clue, Texas.
Yeah.
And when they won the World Series, everybody thought I was jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, well, you did jump on the bandwagon.
No, you did.
No, I've never jumped on the bandwagon.
With anything
But I
in
will
your life.
say, nope, never. And I will say this though, I saw the Astros at the freaking Astrodome.
That's bad. That's bad to the bone.
That's right.
There.
That's right. So I'm OG, even though I don't like it.
Yes, and this podcast is brought to you by Crush Orange Soda because we're too cheap to get the Sunkist Coca-Cola products up in here. Instead, we got to get Pepsi.
Well, I'm using it for a spit can. That's all I'm using it for, really. So anyway, let's get started. I wanted to talk a little bit today, kind of about us, about myself. It's going to be the me episode, and I want to show off some gear that I kind of use and talk about it. We're about, we're 2.5 weeks from the opening of Texas archery season. September 28th is when it kicks off.
Right around the corner.
And I feel like I'm behind, dude.
Why do you feel like you're behind? Because you've been working your butt off every weekend.
I have. We've been working nonstop.
And when you say we, like how many people are out there with you?
Well, I'd say at our camp, okay, on our lease, there's probably about 35 people total.
Golly!
Well, it's 4,500 acres, okay? So that's, roughly 110 acres, I guess, a person. I'm not like great at math, but
sounds about right.
Yeah, there's plenty of room for everybody to be around. But at our actual camp, we probably got about 10 people that we all camp together. We all have campers that we've placed on this 2-acre piece of tract of land that I bought, and we've been getting it ready. We spent so much time on camp this year. We do have, if you guys follow us on Instagram, it's at the Huntcast. We've been posting some pics of the progress of camp, and then also we went and mowed basically most of the lease. So when I say we mow it, we hop on tractors and bush hog our shooting lanes, bush hog roads and things like that, so that it's not like we're driving around in a freaking jungle.
Yeah, well, yeah. How long does that take? Is that all weekend?
Yeah, it's an all weekend deal, man. It took us, literally, we probably mowed from 7 in the morning till it was dark. We had lights on the tractor trying to finish up, and we did, and we had to go back the next day, and did that on my 40th birthday.
That's how you celebrated.
That's kind of a kick in the nuts to sit and think about it.
Well, you enjoyed yourself.
I do. I really did enjoy myself. It was a good time, and I tell you what I enjoy more than anything is this land, this 4,500 acres that we lease. It's rough. It's undeveloped land. It's never been developed. It is as raw of East Texas land that you can find. It's heavily wooded. It's a timber company who actually owns it. And what they do is they grow pine trees on it, basically. And, it takes about a 30-year period from a tree to become a seedling up to a mature tree where they actually finally harvest. There's a couple of harvests that they thin it out and things like that in between. But, 30 years sounds like a long time, but the older I get, the faster it flies by. And there are areas that were clear cut, meaning they went and cut every single bit of timber off of these areas that now are 10 foot tall since I've been a part of this lease. And so, like I said, it seems like a long time, but it flies by. And it's crazy how the land changes with the harvest of timber, things like that. It's crazy how much it grows up from year to year. I mean, roads that we use on a regular basis to travel from stand to stand and things like that. I mean, they're really not touched during the summertime. From I'd say March until July, they're not touched, and it's crazy in that 4 or 5 month period how out of hand things get. And I'm talking not just the growth of vegetation, but washouts, things like that. The rain, which we've had a very dry summer, but
yes,
when it rains, I mean, this is undeveloped land. They're not roads; they're just trails that we've kind of cut and mowed. Dude, they go to crap so quickly, and so it's a lot of manual labor, a lot of hard work.
Do you keep maintaining this during hunting season as well, or you kind of keep things the way they are and you just focusing on hunting?
Once we usually put in, like I said, a couple of weekends of work maintaining or fixing these roads back and mowing and things like that. And that's not to even mention planting. We plant so many food plots, which we'll kind of get into in a little bit. But once we spend a couple of weekends kind of mowing, getting it back in shape and getting things to where you can actually see where you're driving and things like that, they pretty much maintain themselves throughout the winter.
Yeah.
Vegetation goes dormant in the wintertime, or most of it. And with the traffic that we drive across and walk across and things like that, it pretty much maintains itself throughout the winter. So we get one or two weekends in of hard work, and then we're pretty much set for the entire winter of hunting.
Yeah.
But I mean that we've been working our butts off, dude.
Yeah, you have.
I said I feel like we're behind. I don't guess we really are, but I sit and I think about
all
we got to do.
Yeah.
And it's just a little overwhelming.
Yes.
We have a huge hog problem on our lease.
Yeah, you showed me a picture of like the camera that you have out there, correct?
Yeah.
And there was hogs just laying all over the feeder,
dude,
right?
Yeah. You guys need to look at our Instagram account because I post up trail camera pictures from time to time, and I have multiple cameras out there. I have right now, I probably have 10 cameras rolling as we speak, and as the season goes on, I'll find other trails and scrapes and rubs and things like that I'll put a camera out on. But right now, I got probably 10 cameras that are focused on feeders, which feeders are basically 50-gallon barrels that we fill with corn that have a automatic timer on them that spits out corn, I don't know, twice a day in the morning and the evening. And so, we're just kind of trying to get an inventory of what deer are coming to those feeders and things like that. And dude, the hogs have they were going just crazy. It's like a dinner bell to them, man. I can't say it enough. They come in and they'll eat all the corn, and they're like, I know what this is. It's a freaking feeder.
And they just lay right by it.
Well, they do that, and they knock them down. Dude, they are destructive little bitches.
They're pests.
Sure. Yeah, they are. So what I did this year is Texas A&M University, which I'm not an Aggie fan.
Me either. That's a cult, people. For all of our Aggie listeners, get out of that cult while you still can. Do it. That's
the truth. I like the horns, but anyway, they kind of suck too right now. But that's whatever. Texas A&M did a study on the impact of wild hogs in Texas, basically, and they're a huge problem. I can't remember. We've talked about it before, how many millions of hogs there are in Texas. We can't kill them enough, and they're actually pretty smart. I mean, they're smart enough to where they can knock a timer off of a feeder so that the corn will just pour out, and it's like a buffet for them.
Unbelievable.
They learn this stuff. Anyway, Texas A&M did a study where you can buy hog panels, which I believe are 30 inches tall, by 16 foot long. You can put 6 of those, which gives you a 30-foot diameter circle around your feeder, which keeps them from getting in. And those corn feeders, they'll throw out corn about in a 30-foot circle. There's a little bit that gets out of it, just kind of depending on the feeder and the height of it, things like that. But I went out and I put, it cost about $200 a feeder to do this. I put out fencing around my feeders, hoping that it would deter the pigs from coming. Actually, I had one stand location that had a great buck coming to it. Had split G2s, which is anyway, you can look that crap up. But it had split G2s, beautiful buck, perfect deer for one of my kids to shoot. I mean, heck, I'd be happy of shooting it. But anyway, he was coming, and I never had pigs at this particular stand location. And they showed up in one day, ate every bit of corn that was around.
Pissed you off.
Pissed me off.
It's a lot of money.
It ran, and the deer didn't come back.
Yeah.
Because the hogs are there. And literally what's crazy is these hogs, in 2 days, they went out, and when they ate all this, I mean, it's dirt. It's bare dirt now. And it stinks. You walk up on it, you can smell the pigs in this dirt now. But anyway, the pigs, so I said, screw it, I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to put fencing up. So I fenced in a few of my feeders just to kind of see what happens. And what's cool is those larger, more mature bucks have not come back yet, but I've had younger bucks who are hopping that fence going there eating. So it is starting to pay off. I'm hoping that some of those mature bucks as well will show back up. But, I mean, there's nothing else you can do. I'm not going to feed pigs all winter long. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. And this is basically baiting, the best harvest for you to come around your area that you hunt, correct? This is the whole purpose of you putting corn out, right?
Yeah. Corn's like candy to deer.
Right.
It really doesn't have a lot of nutritional, it's bait. It doesn't have a lot of nutritional value for them. And it doesn't for us as humans either. I mean, corn, I love corn, but, it really doesn't do anything for you. I think it's just pretty much
starch.
Yeah. And so, but it's like candy to them. They'll come and they'll just tear it up. So, yeah, we are, in essence, baiting the deer to come to our location so that we can harvest them or shoot them.
Let's talk about it. You've mentioned this on past episodes. You have 10 cameras set up out at this place. What type of cameras are you using?
Well, I'm going to show and see if this works. I use Bushnell trail cameras. I've just been a big fan of them. This right here that I'm showing in the camera is a 20 megapixel trophy cam. Runs off of AA batteries. It's a great camera, and it has excellent. I just haven't any problems with them. I've had other cameras in the past that are a lot less expensive. These cameras run probably about $250 a piece.
What's the battery life like?
All year.
What?
Used to, they ran off of like D and C batteries. And literally, every 2 or 3 weeks, you'd have to change the batteries out. Now that everybody's pretty much gone to AA batteries, the lifespan, and I think it takes 8 AA batteries, so it takes quite a few.
Yeah, that's a lot. But it's all year.
But yeah, it pretty much lasts all year now. And that's taking thousands of pictures throughout the year.
Wow.
Thousands of pictures. And so, these Bushnell cameras, I can't say enough about them. They are more expensive. I've used several lesser expensive cameras. There's some different brands out there, and I'm not really going to knock them because they are what they are, but like Wild Game Innovations, Primos has some cameras. Moultrie makes a good camera as well. Those cameras usually range around the $100 to $150 mark, and they're less. Their quality is not as good as these Bushnells. Like I said, these are 20 megapixel cameras, and so they take a really good high resolution photo, which really helps at a little bit further difference or distance.
Well, and it looks like the uniform of the camera too. The outer parts, it's tough to where it can withstand weather, temperature change. East Texas, we deal with that, man.
Yeah, and it is crazy. I don't leave any cameras out all year long. I will leave them out during the hunting season, and then I'll go out and pick them all up because the summertime's what just wreaks havoc on gear from what I found. Just that heat, that sun exposure, it will dry rot something quicker than anything. But pretty much all the cameras have a plastic housing. These Bushnells have plastic housing as well. They have a rubber weather sealant, I guess, around the edges that when you snap them closed, they're waterproof. I've just had really, really good luck out of these Bushnells. I've had some that are going 3 or 4 years long, and you can't ask for that. Some of the other lesser quality cameras that are cheaper, you may get 1, maybe 2 years out of them, and then they start crapping out, or just being in the elements, dude. Sure. It's rough on them.
Yeah, because like we said, East Texas weather change, especially this time of year. Like we got our first cold front coming in next week, supposedly, with all the weather that we got going. That roller coaster ride, it's important to have great gear.
Yeah, and I think it'll drop down to like probably 75 with that first cold front coming.
But still, that's better than 100.
Yeah, it's definitely welcomed. That's for sure. But I've just had really good luck out of these Bushnells, and Bushnell doesn't pay me to say that. This is stuff that I buy. And I think they're really cool gear.
Yeah,
I got probably 10 cameras out now. And
well, what causes you to pick the destination of where your cameras go? Because that seems like that's an important deal. You don't want to put it somewhere to where you're like, not much. I mean, is this just trial and error?
Yeah, a lot of it is. And in Texas, we can bait. Okay, so we can use corn. You can take a bag of corn, a 50-pound sack of corn, and pour it out pretty much anywhere in the woods, and you'll eventually get pictures of some kind of wildlife.
So it's motion detection.
It's motion detected, yeah. And so, what I do is I look for trails. I try to stay around creeks. The deer on our lease typically travel within these creek corridors and things like that. And so I'll find an area that's kind of close to a creek. I'll look for actual trails. I mean, you can see it where they beat down some of the vegetation. And, you always look for scrapes or rubs. And I'll pour a bag of corn out close in the vicinity of some of this stuff, not necessarily directly on it because I don't want to disturb their natural travel patterns, but I'll get close to it and I'll pour a bag of corn out or something, throw a camera on it and see what comes.
Have you ever seen a picture of a buck that you're like, man, that thing looks glorious and never saw it with your eyes?
Yeah.
Is that frustrating?
Absolutely. I got a picture of a deer in my office, a freaking monster, man. He's probably a 160-inch deer.
That's on this property.
And it's the craziest story. I tracked this deer on picture. I've never seen him in person. I may have seen him one time, but I can't verify that for sure. But dude, I tracked this deer for probably 3 years.
Yeah,
and
unbelievable. Still no visual.
No. I had it. It was set up close to a feeder, and I put a pop-up blind near this feeder. It was about 30 yards from it. Brushed it and everything. Feeder was going, deer, he was coming all the time. All the time. And we opened the opening day of archery season. I thought, I'm fixing to smoke this deer. It's the first time I get to hunt. I'm going to smoke this deer on the first day.
You're looking for him.
Never saw him.
I'm sorry we're jumping around here. I just got questions, and I know I'm kind of interviewing you to the most part, but so you hunt, just for our listeners' sake and visual people watching this on YouTube, you hunt with a lot of our family members, cousins, and then most of these people that you hunt with have became basically family to you because y'all share so much life together. What is the competitive nature like? Like, for example, let's say our cousin Travis killed that deer that you saw the photo of. Would you be pissed?
I would be pissed. But
why?
Well, because,
that's yours.
Well, I wouldn't, it's just, I wouldn't be pissed. I'd be very happy for him.
But disappointed.
I would be disappointed just because the build up and seeing this deer all the time, things like that. It has happened actually.
Tell us the story.
I had a deer coming on camera, and I only had a couple of pictures of him, and I called him Big Papa Pump. Now I'm not big on naming deer. I think it's borderline stupid, but sometimes you just do it, especially if you have a big one you get excited about. And I called him Big Papa Pump of
Scott Steiner.
There you go, the wrestler. Dude, he was a massive deer. I think he ended up scoring him upper 140s, something. He was just a really, really cool deer. And I had him on camera a few times. He was coming to this one particular location. And when they go into rut, which means now most of our listeners know what the rut's all about, and everybody looks forward to it. It's the one time a year that the does go in estrus, and which means they're ready for some booty.
Yeah.
And those bucks, they get that booty one time a year. Now you can imagine if you was only able to get booty one time a year.
Dude, that sounds like my life. Valentine's Day, the day after. I'm single, folks. I go only one kind of hunting, that's cougar hunting, if you know what I'm saying.
So, anyway.
Day after Mother's Day, day after Valentine's Day, you're good to go.
Yeah. So, the rut comes, and because we manage our lease very, very well, meaning that we do spotlight counts during the summer, things like that, through Texas Parks and Wildlife. We're an MLD Level 3 property, so if you got any questions, you can check that out. But anyway, we do deer observation cards throughout the year. We count how many deer we see and things like that. All these numbers get turned into a biologist, and they come up with a figure saying, we think that your buck to doe ratio is this. Now, I am no expert on this at all, but from what I understand, a 1-to-1 ratio is a really good ratio.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Because those bucks, they can pick out a doe, and they can hang out with them all the time. They can do whatever they want to. They can get that booty.
Right.
And anyway, our lease is managed where I think we're pretty close to that. I think we stay pretty close. We have to kill so many does a year. We have to kill so many bucks a year. And I think we're real close to those numbers. Because we're close to those numbers, rattling works really, really well. And we'll get into rattling in a minute when we kind of go through some gear. But basically what you do is you just kind of walk through the woods, or you can do it in your stand or whatever. We typically go into these creek bottoms, and we're very cautious of our scent and things like that. And
what do you do that's cautious about your scent?
We spray down with different materials. We wear. I personally like wearing. This is a perfect segue into it. Drake Waterfowl come out with a line of deer hunting apparel, and they call it non-typical. I was a big duck hunter back in the day, things like that, and the Drake gear always held up really well. It was always very warm, very, very well made. So when they came out with this non-typical brand, or line, I should say, I kind of just bought some of it and wanted to check it out, and it's really, really good stuff. And it has a material in it that helps with letting your scent out. I mean, we're all going to sweat. We're all going to stink. We're all going to be at deer camp and not really have the opportunity to shower as much as we want to, things like that. Every little bit we can do to stay scent free, we try to do. We sprayed on our boots. A lot of us wear rubber boots throughout the year, which that will not pick up scent like a regular fabric will, things like that. I mean, we're just very precautious of our scent.
Sure.
And so we go in these creek bottoms and we kind of walk around a little bit. We'll rattle a little bit, see if anything comes up. And basically what the rattling is simulating is bucks fighting. Because when it gets close to booty time,
they're fighting over it.
They're fighting over it. Yep. And they're wanting to establish their dominance in certain areas so that if any does are in there, they're going to get that booty.
Yeah.
And so we're simulating that fight, hoping that the dominant buck in that area will say, dude, who's fighting in my area, and come in and want to whoop their butt.
Wow.
And so usually it will draw out a more dominant buck. And so anyway, Travis, it was one of those days that I had to work, and Travis gets to screw off and do whatever he wants to do. Travis is my cousin, great dude. I love him to death. One of my best friends. He was down in one of these creek bottoms rattling, and Big Papa Pump came out and he shot him. And I can't say that I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed because it's a great deer, but I was very, very happy for him because those mature bucks like that, they don't come out all the time. They are very hard to kill. There's a reason why they get big and they get old, and that's because they've avoided being killed.
Yeah, they're smart.
They're smart. And so that dude just couldn't resist it. He thought somebody was fighting over some booty in his neck of the woods, and he wanted to whoop up on it.
Yeah.
Little did he know he got caught with a bullet, and he died. So anyway, Travis has Big Papa Pump hanging up in his office, and I am happy for him.
So when you walk into that office, do you always look at that deer and think?
No, but I do rib the hell out of him saying he shot that deer in my stand.
Did he?
No, he did.
We get the record straight here on the Huntcast.
But I will every time I see Travis and we talk about it, I'll be like, I know you shot that deer out of my stand.
Yeah.
You know, all that work I put in, you went in there and slipped in there and shot that deer.
Right.
So, and that's when we talk about the competitive nature of deer camping things, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
we
fun.
we do love each other. We all are good friends. We all are happy for each other when someone harvests a nice deer, a big mature buck or whatever. But there is a lot of ribbon that goes on.
Yeah.
We're in deer camping. That's just part of the fun.
And that competitive nature between family and friends is good because it gets you on your A game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't want to be the one without a kill that season.
No, and I promise you, there's been mornings when I've been laying in bed and my alarm goes off at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, I don't want to get up. This bed's warm. It's cold as hell outside.
Really?
It's raining.
See, I figured like when you during hunting time, you're like up and at 'em. It's hard.
At the first of the season, everybody is. But as it goes on, especially when you get in those 2, 3, 4 day hunts and you've been getting up, you know, everybody, we all say we're going to hunt in the mornings, we're going to eat breakfast, go take a nap, then go hunt in the evenings. That don't work. We hunt in the mornings and we start thinking about stuff, and maybe we need to go over here and check this out or do this. And so we get busy throughout the day doing crap. Then it's time to go hunt in the evening. And then when we get back to camp, we want to talk about everything, maybe have a few beers or whatever, a couple of whiskey drinks, sit around the campfire, bull crap. It's 2 o'clock in the morning before you know it.
Woo!
And we got to get up at 4 or 5 again.
And then, so you go home and go to work.
That over a course of a deer season, there are mornings where I lay in bed, I'm like, I don't want to get up.
It's rough.
I don't want to get up. But then I think, what if I don't get up and that big deer's there?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. Abby, my oldest daughter, she's 12 years old. Last year, there was a morning. It was one of those mornings that I didn't want to get up and go. And we were laying in that camper, and the heater's on. It's nice and warm and all that kind of stuff. It's cold as hell outside. And I wake up, and I go to Abby. I was like, baby, you want to get up and go hunting? And she's like, no, Daddy, I just want to sleep. And I'm like, cool. So I crawl back in bed. I go to sleep. And we went and checked the cameras later, and one of the bucks that she was after to kill had come that morning.
Ah, man.
So that's kind of the flip side of these trail cameras. They can break your heart, too, as well as get you excited. And Abby told me, she said, I'll never sleep in again, Daddy.
Yeah,
and that's a very, very important lesson. It's one I've learned. But, there are days that you're just tired.
Well, dang, son, sometimes you just want to sleep in.
Sometimes you want to sleep in. Because like you said, dude, we hunt hard all weekend. We don't get any sleep, and we got to go to work the next week, and it just makes it rough.
Yeah, I bet it does.
But anyway, I mean, that's just part of it. It's part of hunting, and that's what makes it so fun and so exciting at the same time, is because you just never know. And I will say, we talk about these trail cameras a lot. They're a great tool. But I can't tell you how many deer I've seen in the woods that I've never seen on camera. So they don't capture everything. They just capture a small glimpse of what's going on out in the woods. There are a lot of times when you see deer and different, deer movement and things like that, these cameras don't pick up.
Yeah.
So every time I go to the stand, I'm excited because I never know what I'm going to see.
Right.
There's always that chance that El Guapo is going to come out that you've never had the opportunity to catch on camera, and you're going to lay him down.
Wow.
So
that's awesome. Has there ever been opportunities during a season, like let's say, for example, 2 seasons ago, you saw a deer, got away, whatever the situation was, and the next year you saw that same one again, but it had grown up? Is that pretty cool?
Yeah. So like the one I was telling you about that was coming early in the season before the pigs ran it off, that had the split G2, I saw that deer last year. I have pictures of him on camera from last year as well.
Cool.
And so, yeah, you can start seeing these deer and start trying to kind of pattern them by using these pictures year after year.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast that freaking blew my mind. Had one of the Drury boys on there from Drury Outdoors, and he was talking about patterning deer and things like that, patterning mature bucks. And this dude goes into when he starts using his trail cameras and he's checking these deer out and things like that. Year after year, he goes and looks at the weather reports, checks for barometric pressure, checks for if it's cloudy, if it was sunny, if it was raining, what the average temperature was, if it was above that or below that. I mean, this dude is hardcore when it comes to it. And they actually developed an app. I think it's called Deercast. I just downloaded it not too long ago, just to kind of check it out. Again, it's just another tool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's absolutely crazy. These wild ass animals that we call deer, what all they do and how they run our lives from September to February.
Right.
It's nuts.
It is nuts. It is nuts. Even being your brother and working alongside you, most of the week, just how not overwhelmed is a bad word, but just how into all of this that you are and the time commitment that you are, just to be rewarded with that, a guapo buck or whatever. Man, it's got to be so rewarding and worth it all.
It is. And, honestly, we eat a lot of deer meat, a lot of venison, and I love it. It's great. One of my goals for next year is to harvest enough animals, and I'm going to go on an elk hunt and things like that, but to harvest enough animals to where we eat nothing but wild game. There's a lot of people that do that.
Yes.
We eat wild game all year long.
And there's so many, I feel like for me as a non-hunter, that I am getting more information sent to me or seeing that there's so many diverse ways to cook these animals.
Absolutely. And from, here in Texas in the South, a lot of people like to fry backstrap or deer meat or whatever, kind of like a chicken fried type steak. But you can cook it rare as well, like a medium rare type steak, and it's excellent.
Yes. I would love to try that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. It's the ways you can prepare it's very, very many, and it's extremely healthy.
Yes.
We talked to Jana Waller a couple of weeks ago on the podcast and was talking about all the wild game she eats and how everything that we eat now that we buy from the supermarkets, it's pumped so full of hormones and things like that. Whatever the farmer of that particular animal can do to make that animal gain weight, I mean, hell, I don't even know if we're eating like natural animals anymore. It's almost like they're chemically produced animals or whatever. And you're a big Joe Rogan fan. Joe Rogan has a couple of podcasts where he talks about the benefits of eating wild game.
Oh yeah,
things
huge.
like that. It's pretty cool. It's
huge.
pretty cool. So that's in my viewpoint. Okay, and this differs from hunter to hunter, but my viewpoint is harvesting the meat first, and then if I can harvest the meat off a El Guapo buck, hey, that's a huge bonus.
Right.
And yeah, I'm gonna go. People talk all the time about trophy hunting, whether you're going after just hunting horns or whatever. Dude, there ain't a hunter alive. I've said it before. I'll say it again. There's not a hunter alive that if there's a small 2-year-old buck standing right next to a El Guapo 5-year-old buck, they're not going to shoot that 5-year-old buck. I mean, there's that. It's just that's the way it is.
Yeah, right.
So,
that's sportsmanship.
exactly.
I would assume. That's the situation.
Exactly.
What are some more gear that you got over
So
here?
this is a piece that I'm really excited about. This will be the first year that I've used it. And these guys have been super cool as far as just to kind of talk to. And I saw them first at the Hunters Extravaganza in Houston, Texas. I've known about this product for a long time. We've talked about it. We've talked about whether it works or not or whatever. But I got to sit down and actually talk to these guys at the Hunters Extravaganza in Houston this year. And it is let me zoom in here. It is a ozonics unit. And what's funny is I wrote my name.
That's more ribbon going on.
Yeah, this is
Travis.
more ribbon. Okay, so I wrote my name here, Shafer, and then I put not Owens in parentheses because it's a big deal that we write our name on crap and people will like cross it out or whatever and put their name on it.
Yeah, that's our cousins.
Yeah, so I put not Owens on this one so that everybody knows it's mine.
It's important.
So this unit is a HR 300. Made by Ozonics. They make I think a 240 and a 300 as well. And what it is, it's an ozone generator. And so a lot of people don't know what that is, but this is a tool in the fight against your natural odor, okay, your scent. And what it does is you press this button right here, the power button, of course, and it comes on. And it's got a small fan in there that barely makes any noise at all. And it's sucking oxygen up out of the bottom right here. And it's pushing it through ozone, which is pushing ozone out of the unit. And ozone is, from what I understand, I'm not a scientist or any of that kind of stuff or, whatever, a chemist. But what ozone does is ozone molecules will bond to your natural scent molecules and absorb them.
Science.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Again,
what is the benefit of this?
It hides your scent. It basically,
so it's hiding your scent.
Yeah, it basically eliminates your scent. And so what I'll do is it comes with this cool little bracket here.
Yeah.
And you take this bracket, you screw it into the tree above you, and then it hooks in to this bracket. And
easy peasy.
It just sits above you and blows ozone out.
Perfect.
And you point it whichever direction the wind's going. So say I'm sitting here and the wind's blowing from my back in front of me, which is a horrible way to hunt, but whatever. I would have it right here above me, and it's going to blow ozone out and kind of create an ozone waterfall.
Nice.
That's coming in front of me. And as the wind blows away from me, it's hitting that ozone, and that ozone's sucking up my scent molecules and eliminating them.
Have you noticed a difference using this?
I haven't used it yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this will be my first year using it.
So you excited to see what it's like?
I am. Everything I've read, there's always people who are
paid for raiders.
Yeah, and there's always going to be your haters as far as that say stuff doesn't work and this and that and all that kind of stuff. But I'm excited to see if it. What it'll do. I mean, it can't hurt anything.
How much does that bad boy usually run?
That unit's probably about $350,
Woo!
$375,
man, yeah,
almost something like that.
Awesome.
And these units were in stores a while back. Now they are they're available on ozonics.hunting.com.
Very cool.
I think is where you get them from now.
Very cool.
So I like the units. Like I said, what I've read shows to be really, really has some really good reviews about it. The science makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And so, it's it can't hurt anything. Let's see what it does.
Yeah, why not? And you explained it really well for somebody like me that it just looks like it honestly looks like an external hard drive for a computer or something.
It's about that size, and it doesn't weigh hardly anything.
That's awesome. So it'll be easy to carry along with you, no big deal, not a hassle to keep up with.
Right. It's got a rechargeable battery that pops out of the bottom right here, and you throw that on your charger. Or drop it or whatever you want to do. But you throw it in your charger. When you get up ready to hunt the next morning, you take it out of the charger, you pop it in, and there you go.
Well, I'm excited to hear about that, those trials with that, and see what it does for you. If you can notice, I'm sure you will notice a massive difference with that.
Well, I'll have plenty of opportunities to check it out this year, and I'm going to be honest. I'm going to test the technology a little bit, and I'll set it up in a couple of different times to where it's blowing downwind, where I should not be hunting that stand, and I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, why not?
I can't tell you. There have been, I don't know, not a lot, but 2 or 3 times I've been hunting, and say does are notorious. I mean, I see more does usually than I do mature bucks, but I've had does blow at me I don't know how many times, and they catch a whiff of you, they know you're there, and they're like, screw you, and they blow and they run off.
I'm out of here.
And then they usually sit about 30 yards and continue to blow to piss you off and make sure that everybody else knows you're there as well.
Right.
So I'm excited to check it out and see what happens with it. But that's probably the biggest investment, other than all the trail cameras that I normally buy, that I've made this year in actual, I guess, technology, a tool to see what it helps.
Yeah. Well, man, do you have any more gear that we got rolling? I think we got a few more things that we're talking about here, don't we?
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of go through my pack real quick,
because I have some personal questions for you once we get done with this.
Okay, I'm gonna go through my pack real quick. Let me grab it.
Yeah, TJ, man, this dude is not scared to invest stuff when it comes to hunting, which most of our listeners are. So this is really good.
Dude, I'm a gear junkie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love gear.
Yeah.
I've always loved gear. I love all kinds of gear. And me being in hunting, I just I love this type of gear.
So this is a modern day Robin Hood satchel right here.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what is this?
You made it sound super stupid, but
no, I didn't, man. That's super cool to me.
Yeah, so this is the pack that I carry, that I will be carrying this year. In the years past, I made another investment this year. I said that unit's probably about $300 or $400. This is another big investment that I made, and it kind of came from, and I paid for it. Came from our first episode when we talked with Aaron Snyder.
Yes,
freaking beast, man.
What a beast! What a great guy,
dude. He just went on like a week-long mule deer hunt in Colorado, was able to harvest animals, said it was the hardest animal that he's ever, it was the biggest fight to finally be able to harvest that animal.
Wow.
And so y'all need to definitely check that out. As a matter of fact, he hosts the Kafaru cast, which is also available on iTunes and things like that. And he just released an episode, which I have not listened to yet, that covers his hunt, basically. Yeah, him and his buddy, I can't even remember what his buddy's name is. But anyway, they went out and spent a week or whatever in the mountains and was able to harvest a really nice mule deer. Him and his buddy were able to.
Well, this bag, like, what is it called? What's the model number?
Okay,
what is all this?
So this is a Kafaru International pack. It's big. I got to kind of back it out from the camera.
It's awesome.
Well, it's not huge.
Well,
but
no,
they
great.
make packs a lot bigger than this. But this is a Kafaru International. It's called an Eastern Ruck. They had thrown out the term that it was going to be their whitetail pack, which it's the smallest, I guess, hunting pack that they make. They make some tactical stuff that's smaller, but it's just a really, really cool pack that was designed for bow hunters and I guess whitetail hunters in general, mule deer hunters, guys that we don't need to carry a huge. Because Kafaru makes some legit packs for guys who go out and hunt for a month and stuff.
Wow.
I mean, they make your serious backpacking gear. What I like about this and why I spent the money on it is because they took all that technology and they took that toughness that they used to make their larger packs and condensed it into the smaller version called the Eastern Ruck. Again, they're not paying me to say this, man. I think this is going to be an awesome pack for me to use this year.
That looks awesome, man.
What's cool about it is it's got this thing on the side. It's just a flap that is in a pocket that will hold your quiver. So, you don't have to carry it around. I'm not a guy who likes to put my quiver on my bow and carry it. It just adds weight and things like that. And so this being part of the pack. I'm super excited about
looks
it.
cool.
You can take your quiver out, or it goes in this little pocket here at the bottom, and you're able to take an arrow out or whatever you want to do.
Very cool.
I like that. It's got this strap on the front that holds down the main flap that I put in my shooting sticks, which I won't carry my quiver and my shooting sticks at the same time. Shooting sticks, if I'm out in the woods walking around or rattling or whatever, everybody pretty much knows that a shooting stick, all it is something that will stabilize your gun, allow you to kind of lean on a little bit so that you can make that shot without having to go free-handed and your gun bouncing all over the place, because it's pretty hard to hold a gun, especially if you're trying to shoot out 200 or 300 yards.
It's legit. Where can you get this?
Get what, the pack?
Yeah, with this, what you got?
It's Kifaru International. I think it's just Kifaru.com.
Sweet. Awesome.
You guys can Google Kifaru and it's going to come up. There's not a lot of crap called Kifaru.
Right, yeah.
But I wanted to kind of also go through some of the stuff that I keep in this pack. I don't carry this pack with me. I wouldn't carry. It's with me all the time. I'll take it to the stand, things like that. But the way I have it set up, and it was kind of a learning curve, because when I first got this pack, it's just a big open middle part. And so I carry like a tree saw, and I'll carry some skinning knives with me. I'll carry my binoculars. I'll carry some different stuff, which I'll just get in and show you. But I was like, what the crap, dude? I mean, all this stuff's just going to be like flying around loose in there.
Yeah.
Well, I was an idiot because I'm not used to this kind of pack and things like that. Kifaru also makes, and I can't remember what they're called. I guess I should have researched it. I'm probably the least knowledgeable as far as what the names actually are. That I carry.
But also we need to let the listeners know you are not sponsored by any of these people. This is like your personal gear that you absolutely love.
It's personal gear that I actually paid money for. That works for me. It may not work for you guys, but this is what I do. This is my setup.
Yeah.
So it's got a flap at the top, and in that flap, I carry just some random stuff. This is like my random pouch, okay? Stuff that I'll use, but it's just random crap that I don't know any other way to organize it.
Right.
Stuff that I like it to be easy accessible, things like that. But like I said, it's just random stuff. So
right.
I mean, it's stuff like this is a little hook that you screw into a tree. These are like $1 a piece, and I usually will carry 4 or 5 of these things. And if I'm hunting in a tree, if I'm using my climbing stand or whatever, I can screw this in the tree, hang my pack on it, hang my bow on it, or whatever. These things are just super handy. So I always have 3 or 4 of those in a pack. I got a little wind indicator here. If I'm sitting in the tree stand, you open it up and you give it a couple of little squeezes. Throws a little powder out, which lets you know, you can see that powder move and lets you know which way the wind's blowing. Which is very important with your scent.
Yes.
That's I carry an extra grunt tube, which this is just a piece of crap, but if I happen to lose my other one, I need to blow in a grunt tube and just,
you got it.
Like a buck sound or whatever, buck grunt. I got it there handy. I carry some face paint as well. I'm not a big face paint person. Typically because I don't want to show up at camp and have this crap on me the rest of the day.
Yeah.
My kids love it.
Because it's fun,
Yeah,
right?
it's fun. So I'll paint their faces and things like that, but typically I'll just wear a mask that I just kind of pull over, like a netted mask, when I'm in the stand to cover up my face.
Yeah.
I'll never understand some of these guys on TV, which I'll probably never understand a lot about these guys on TV. They're great guys, but they'll be up there with their faces exposed and things like that. I want to do everything I can to eliminate any advantage the deer may have.
Yeah.
So I want to cover up my scent, which I know those guys do. I want to cover up my face. I got this big white face that's just sitting there. And if I'm all in camo and I got a big white face, I think it's going to stick out. And so I always try to cover my face. Although I don't wear face paint, I'll keep that in there for the kids. Or, if I forget my mask or something, I got it.
Yeah.
This was a gift to me. And it's like a little survival kit, and I've never had to use it, and I pray to God I don't.
Right.
Yeah, but it's some kind of little metal thing that's got a couple little tool ends, like a flathead screwdriver and a little blade on it. Inside, I think there's a couple of fish hooks and stuff like that. I mean,
that's rope around it.
Yeah, and this is paracord around it, which I don't know how many feet there is, but there's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I also carry a roll of paracord with me as well. It's like 50 foot or whatever, and I'll cut a little bit off here. If I get up in a tree stand and I forget, or it doesn't have something for me to pull my bow up with, because I'm not going to climb a stand with a bow in my hand. I'll cut some paracord off. Paracord is extremely handy, and I use it for everything. And so I always keep some paracord handy. And then I always have in two or three different pouches. I have a lighter.
There you go.
Not necessarily am I worried about having to be stranded somewhere and have to build a fire, because on 4,500 acres, if I get stranded somewhere, I can walk my ass back to camp.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I can. But,
Never
I
know.
may need to burn the end of paracord, or I may need to do this or do that or whatever. I always have 2 or 3 lighters with me in my pack. And, I may want to smoke. You never know. You never know what the situation may hold.
Dude, we're always looking for lighters, whether you need one or not.
Yeah. So, whatever.
That's smart.
I carry a lighter in 2 or 3 different places in my pack. So that's like the top pouch. That's like the catch-all, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the random stuff.
These pockets here, they're long. They can hold a trail camera. They can hold different types of things. A couple of them are empty. And then, like here, I have a tree saw that if I need to clear some lanes or whatever, and this is just your typical little Gerber tree saw, and it expands out, and
It's awesome.
It's still got like wood shavings in it.
That's
you
great.
know. But you just, everybody uses tree saws. They're very handy. So I keep it in that pouch there. Now, this is what I was talking about a minute ago, where I didn't really know how to use this pack. It's got a couple of pockets on the outside, like I said, but on the inside, it's just a big open area.
Yeah.
And, with all the smaller things that I carry, things would just get lost. And if I needed to look for something, I wouldn't really know where it's at.
Sure.
So Kifaru makes these little packs that you're able to pack inside the bigger pack, and they sell them in different sizes and things like that. For instance, I'll start with the smallest and go to the largest. I guess I should have been a little bit more prepared here.
No.
Sorry.
It's totally cool, because you got a lot of stuff here that you're showing that's really, really good. And for our listeners, we do have a YouTube channel. Just search the Huntcast. That way you can, because this is kind of a visual heavy episode, but TJ's doing a great job describing the stuff.
I also in the pack keep a package of zip ties.
That's smart, man.
You just never, dude, I zip tie crap all the time.
Everybody does.
And if I need to camo a portion of a stand or something, I can cut a limb down with my tree saw and zip
Boom.
tie it to it, whatever.
Boom.
So those zip ties are always handy.
And that saves a lot of time. Like, if you just had rope, oh my gosh.
So I bought from Kifaru. They make these pouches here. This is the largest one out of the pack that I bought. And all these are rain resistant, I guess you could say. When you open them up, you can see that they're like, they have like a plastic or coating on the inside to keep them water resistant.
Nice.
Which keeps the pack itself has that in it as well. So you're kind of double protecting things.
Yeah.
This larger one here, you're going to laugh your butt off. But this is the snack pack.
Oh, okay. That makes
so,
sense.
like when I go, if I take kids with me, I'll have 2 or 3 drinks in here.
Yeah.
Some Little Debbie snacks or whatever. This is the snack pack, which it's empty right now, of course, because we've already eaten all the snacks.
Well, that makes sense. Why all the protection? You don't want that crap leaking.
You don't
all over your
want them
gear.
Little Debbies getting wet, dude.
Gross.
That's gross.
Yeah.
And then I'll just kind of move down. This is the next pack size. In this, I keep it's labeled calls. And in here, I'll have my grunt tube that I use all the time on a lanyard. And then I have some rattling horns. And these are night and hell rattling horns. And it's like they fold into one unit, but then you can take them apart. And they're attached by a little lanyard here. And you can hit them.
There you go.
And make the sound of deer fighting.
Yeah.
And so
and it looks awesome, too.
yeah, it's kind of rad looking.
Yeah. Very
So
nice.
what I like about these little pouches, these little packs that I have inside of my big pack is, like I said, I may not have that big pack with me. It's going to come in the Ranger or in my truck with me wherever I go.
Right.
And if I'm walking through the woods, I may throw the big thing on my back and go. But if I need something that's quickly accessible, and if I'm just going in the woods to do some rattling or something, I may just grab this and take it with me.
Nice.
Rather than carrying the big pack with me.
Nice. Yeah.
But my big pack is always somewhere around.
Yeah.
The next size pouch is it's just a little cleaning kit.
Oh, cool.
And so this cleaning kit, I'll have a couple of knives in it, a sharpening stone, I'll have some rubber gloves. I mean, because I don't want to touch all that guts and crap. I mean,
Yeah.
some guys think I'm a weirdo or a wuss for doing that, but guys, we were recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Dude, we just lost power. We got like a serious storm rolling in East Texas, and it just knocked power out to our studio.
I'm not gonna lie, it scared me a little bit.
Yeah, me too. 'Cause it was like this ronk sound outside, and it kind of freaked me out. But anyway, cleaning kit. Like I said, it has a couple of knives in it, a sharpening stone, some rubber gloves. Because why get nasty if you ain't got to get nasty?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So anyway, that's the cleaning kit, and then this one. I just started carrying this last year, and I didn't have it in here. I had it in just a big gallon-size Ziploc bag. But this is a little medical kit.
Hey, you know what? That's probably important to have.
Well, I mean, again, we're not like it's not like we're stranded anywhere,
right?
Okay, but I will be 30 or 45 minutes away from camp.
Yeah,
and so if I got a kid with me, or even me. This has become really important to me, and it's not got anything crazy in there. It's got like a little thing of Tylenol,
right?
Because you never know when you get a headache. Yep. I wear contacts, so I got some Visine for contacts in it. Gosh, I got some hydrocortisone cream. If a kid gets bit by something or itching or whatever, I can put a little or if I do, I can put a little hydrocortisone cream in there. Triple antibiotic cream.
That's awesome.
I got some chapstick in here, some Carmex. I got this. Are you still recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, sorry. It flickered again. Got this little bitty first aid kit in there. It's got some Band-Aids and some hand cleansing wipes, crap like that. I mean, like again, I'm not going to like keep somebody from necessarily dying with this kit, but if I get cut or whatever.
Oh, it's convenient.
It's definitely convenient. Some non-stick pads or whatever, like gauze pads. And this is some of that self-adhering stretchy bandage stuff, you know.
In case you cut yourself.
Yeah, you can wrap it up or whatever. So that goes in my little medical kit. And in my Ranger, or my truck, one of the two, I usually drive my Polaris Ranger everywhere I go. And I did buy that thing. They're not paying me to say that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Jesus, I wish they would. Those things cost as much as a freaking truck these days.
Hey,
this is something that Aaron Snyder with Kifaru also turned me on to. I keep some of this. This is Leukotape, and you can buy it on Amazon or whatever. It's a medical style tape, and it's like just a cloth tape, and it's sticky as hell.
Really?
Yeah. Like I have no doubt that if I did cut my arm open, that I could wrap it up with this, and I'd be good to go for a little bit anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like it's extremely sticky. If you stick this on you, and it touches hair, that hair's coming off when you pull it off.
You're gonna rip it off.
Yeah, and so like I said, Aaron kind of turned me on to that stuff, and I checked it out, and you can buy it on Amazon for like $5 or whatever. You know, I mean, that little medical pack. It's again, I don't carry a lot in it because it's a small pack, but I always have the opportunity with all the Band-Aids and things like that in the camper that I can restock it as I need to. I've just kind of found that it's very important to have this stuff with you, you know, and like I said, even if it's a small cut or something, and then you end up shooting a deer and you need to clean it or whatever, it's important to have those wounds closed.
Yes.
Because Remy Warren, he's a big Under Armour sponsored hunter. He got blood poisoning. Because he cleaned an animal with an open cut.
Yikes.
And gave him blood poisoning and jacked him up pretty bad.
Yeah, I bet it did.
But
well, do you know what my favorite part of that bag is? About how you can compartmentalize everything. Mm-hmm. Like they come with bags. It's a bag with bags. It's awesome.
Well, it doesn't come with those small bags.
But compartmentalizing is awesome.
Yeah, I bought those small bags in addition. I think those small bags are like $50. Now, this pack is not cheap.
Yeah.
It's like a $300 pack.
But it's going to last you for the rest of your life.
It should last me the rest of my life. And so...
How important is that when you buy gear? Like, you are one of the best examples of this for me because I know a lot of our peers and maybe even family, they may give you a lot of grief with the amount of money you spend on whatever gear that it is. But tell the listeners right now, it is better to save your money to buy good gear instead of just buying a lot of crappy gear.
I think so.
Yes.
I do. I think it's very important to buy good gear because when you need it, You're buying that gear for when you need it.
Reliable.
And when you need it to be reliable. You need it to serve its purpose. You don't need it to tear up. I buy good gear.
It makes sense.
And that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
A couple other things I keep in the pack is this is just an Amazon purchase, okay? I don't even know what brand this is. Iron Tria or something. But
what does that do?
this is my headlamp. And it is a badass headlamp.
Dude, it looks good.
Yeah. And so, when I go to the stand or when I leave the stand or whatever, headlamps are just extremely important. This thing has a rechargeable battery on it.
And for all of our audio listeners listening, it looks like what Egon wears in Ghostbusters. That's exactly what it looks like. That thing will blind you if you look directly at it.
It will blind you. It's very, very bright, which I like. What I also like about it is in this little carrying case it has, again, this battery is rechargeable on the back.
That's so important. Like rechargeable batteries, especially when you're not around electric outlets, those are important.
Well, you got to have an electric outlet to charge it.
But rechargeable batteries, like being able to have that, that's awesome.
Here's what's cool about this is so it has this little battery pack on the back that's rechargeable. It also comes with a cable, has a USB port on the bottom of it. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. You can plug your iPhone up to this and charge your iPhone up this battery.
Boom, dude. That's important too.
And so, if you're like wanting to watch some YouTube or whatever.
You need somebody to, whatever.
You need to make a phone call and say, hey, I just busted my head open.
Yes.
There you go.
Get a brother out.
Yeah. So that headlamp is super cool. Again, that's just an Amazon purchase. It's not, I wouldn't even call it a name brand. It's about $50, but it's lasted, this is my second year now, and it's a great, great headlamp. I love it.
And that's a long time. 2 years for being durable like that and you being out there, that's nice.
Yeah. Another thing that I keep in my pack, and this is the last thing I want to talk about, is my bino harness. Okay, so a lot of binoculars, when they come from the factory, they come with just a strap that you throw around your neck.
Right.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Well, if you have that on all day long, it gets old.
I bet it does.
It gets very old. And so they've started coming out with bino harnesses, and it fits on like a reverse backpack. This one's made by Alaska Guide Creations.
It looks great.
It's actually, again, it's an expensive, it's probably about $75, $80, something like that.
Yeah.
For a harness, but it's very, very comfortable to wear. Optics are extremely important, and they're extremely expensive as well. And you don't want to put a $300 or $400 pair of binoculars and just wear them around your neck and let them get scratched up or dirty or whatever. This keeps them in the pack and keeps them, secure, keeps them clean. I love Vortex optics. I use them for the rifle scopes. They don't pay me nothing. I wish they would. I wish they'd just give me some free gear. But if they don't, I love Vortex optics. They have a great warranty. And so I'll keep my optics in the pouch, and in the front pouch, I keep my rangefinder for bow hunting. And so theoretically, and most of the time, if I have everything set up in a stand, I know that stand has everything that I need. I can literally just wear this bino harness in the woods and leave the pack in the Ranger.
That's awesome.
And so I got everything I need right here on my chest, ready to rock.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of my pack. That's what I carry. Whether it's, in the Ranger or if it's on my back all the time, that's kind of the gear that I take with me every time I go into the woods.
It's awesome, man. Well, that was really good stuff, too. And just educating me with some of these tools that you use to help benefit you hunting. I think that is really great. Is it cool if I ask you just a couple of questions while we got time left?
Yeah, dude, sure.
Because I think it's important, too, for our listeners. I know I'm not very vocal here on the Huntcast. I'm kind of doing some more behind-the-scenes stuff for TJ, which I'm grateful for. However, I do enjoy doing podcasts and hosting podcasts. And so some of the questions I'm going to ask TJ are questions that I probably never asked him before, even being my brother for 33 years now. It's important that our listeners know a little bit about you. That way they can relate to you. Tell them about your first hunting experience. Because our family, just so I preface this, the Shafer family, we don't have a dad that was a hunter. I think he went hunting a couple of times, but he never took you to hunting. And I've never been hunting in my life. And what made you get into hunting? What was the experience like?
Man, I don't know. Growing up when we were little, and this is probably when you were 3 or 4, I would have been 9 or 10, something like that. We would go to our grandparents in Mount Enterprise, Texas, which is like a town of 400 or 500 people. It's where Travis and Jason, my cousins, actually are from. Travis still lives there. We would go there for Christmas and things like that. And behind our grandparents' house, they had probably 10 or 15 acres of woods. Dude, we would just, being kids, we just run off in the woods and play.
Yeah.
And so that was my first real experience. And my cousins, their dad hunted, all that good stuff. They've hunted all their life. I never had that. So when we went up for Christmas or the summer times or whatever, when we'd go play outside, we didn't have Xboxes or even phones for that matter back then. We went outside and played Army Man and stuff like that. We built forts in the woods and stuff. And so growing up, those times that I would go to the grandparents' house, I'd be in the woods playing with my cousins and stuff, and it just kind of lit something inside of me. Now, we didn't move. We lived in South Texas near Houston up until my sophomore year of high school.
Right.
In my sophomore year of high school, we moved to the town of New Boston, which is just a crap hole.
It was a culture shock for us.
Yeah,
we came from the coast to this deep in the East Texas small town.
My freshman class in high school had 1,200 kids in it.
Yeah.
And I went from that 1,200 kid class to my class in New Boston had like 80 people in it.
Yeah.
And it was a huge culture shock. And, we were at the beach all the time. We surfed. We did this. We did that. And we were living in the city, basically. And we moved to New Boston, which there's not anything there.
Right.
And so, I got my driver's license and I was mowing lawns and things like that. I actually was driving and mowing lawns before I got my driver's license, but I was just outside all the time.
Yeah.
And I got to be friends with a couple of guys who hunted and fished and things like that. And so, we would literally, when I was able to drive, we'd go drive down the road and we saw a pond we wanted to see, and we'd have our fishing poles in the back. We'd just jump out and go fish it.
Yeah, and one thing we should say about our dad is a fisherman. He doesn't get to do it much anymore, or does it much anymore, but he used to be, he used to enjoy fishing quite a bit.
And he's a great dude. I mean, he's a great father, nothing bad. He just didn't hunt.
Right.
And so we'd be driving on the road or whatever, and we'd see a pond, and we'd just hop out of the truck and go fish it.
It's awesome.
And which is illegal. I mean, it's basically
I
trespassing.
know you got pulled over. Like another side story, you got pulled over because your clothes were so wet and you were in your underwear, right? And the cop pulled you over while you were in your.
So a couple of stories. The first, we got pulled over several times.
TJ out.
But so I don't remember what happened. We got stuck or something, and I had to get out, and I was actually in the water, and I was soaked to the bone. And so I got in the truck and was driving home, and I was in a pair of boxer shorts. And I don't know what happened. I don't think I was speeding. I just don't remember. I got pulled over by a Texas Highway Patrolman, and the son of a bitch made me get out and stand on the side of the road in my boxer shorts. So anyway, long story short, we got ran off of several ponds, and then some guys would be like, man, all you do is come ask us for permission.
And we're cool with it.
We were cool, and we did that. We fished a lot.
That's awesome.
When the wintertime got around, a lot of these guys would go hunting. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hunt. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a bow. I didn't have nothing. And I kind of was like, I want to get in this hunting thing. I want to hang out with some of these guys and see what I can find. So a guy who went to church with us, his name was Mark Meadows, I think is what his name was.
Mark Downs?
Mark Downs.
Yeah, Mark Downs.
Mark
Meadows. Shout out to Mark Meadows, one of the greatest guitarists in Texarkana.
Yeah, that's right. There you go, Mark. Mark Downs. He lived on probably 20 or 30 acres, something like that. And the front of it was pasture, the back of it was woods, and it had a high line running through those woods, like a power line that was cleared out. And he's like, man, you can come hunt anytime you want to. So I borrowed like a 12-gauge shotgun from a buddy of mine, which...
Is that legal?
It is, but whatever. I'd never probably shot a gun my entire life.
Wow.
I borrowed this gun. I went to Walmart and bought some 12-gauge shotgun slugs and some camo pants and a T-shirt or something, and went and sat on the ground next to a tree and looked at this high line. And I don't know what the hell I would have done if something would have came out and I would have shot it.
Right.
But I sat there like pretty much all day and didn't see crap, which why would I? I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So that was my first hunt.
Yeah.
Through that, I kind of started duck hunting and things like that with some friends. When I graduated high school, probably about 1996, I moved to Henderson, Texas, which is not a metropolis by any means. But I did that to go to school, and my cousins lived in Mount Enterprise, which was like 20 miles away. We went to Walmart one night. They were hunters, and Walmart had a Bear Whitetail 2 bow on the shelf, and it was on clearance. And the reason why it was on clearance because it was apparently the parts bow, which means they rod parts off of it to use for whatever else. And I bought it for like $40.
Yeah.
And then I took it to an archery shop and, I bought a little sight for it and this and that and just different things. And we started shooting. And that was kind of how I really got into hunting.
Wow.
Went and bought my first gun. And then, kind of
Took
the
off
rest
from
is
there.
history. Yeah.
What was your first kill? When? Where? How did it happen?
I was in Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right off, it's an interstate town, basically.
Yeah. I was in Mount Pleasant, Texas. And my father-in-law knew a guy whose family owned some land up there on a big creek, on the White Oak Creek bottom. And I'd never killed a deer or anything like that. By this time, I was shooting I'd bought a Ruger Mark II 7-mag rifle, and my first kill was a doe off that guy's property.
What? Tell me about that experience.
I really
Were you
don't.
scared?
I really don't remember, to be completely honest.
So
with
you don't remember the emotions like, oh my God, this is about to happen.
Well, I think by that time I'd hunted kind of not necessarily so much, but I'd done so much on my own. I guess I'd kind of prepared myself for whatever. I mean, I'd shot a lot of ducks by then, things like that. I don't really I mean, I remember I was proud. I'd shot at a couple of deer prior to that and had some misses and things like that because I had crappy optics, which is another lesson on buying good optics. But, it was a sense of relief. I know that. It was like, finally, I got this done. I got this monkey off my back.
Yeah.
Now let's go hunt the big daddies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that was my first kill. Since then, I've shot a lot of deer. I've shot a lot of does. We have to shoot does on our lease to manage, and does are great to eat. And I've shot a lot of bucks as well. And so that's just kind of how I said one day I want to hunt, and that's what I started doing in order to hunt.
And that was your first to shoot with a gun, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What was the first? What about with a bow? Because to me, it seems like spiritually, emotionally, mentally, the reason why you're a hunter is because of bow.
Well,
would you agree with that?
It's just a lot more primitive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot more, and I dare say it's a lot more intimate.
Yeah,
anybody can sit there and stand. And typically, when you're rifle hunting, I'm hunting in a box stand. Half the time I ain't even got camo on. I got a hooded sweatshirt on,
chilled out,
drinking some coffee. Eating some snacks or whatever. I'm in this 4x8 blind, just kind of kicked back in an office chair, relaxing. And if something comes out, I'll reach out there and shoot it with a rifle. Not that that's not awesome, because it is. I've had a lot of great memorable hunts, especially with my kids in those blinds. And anytime you have the opportunity to harvest an animal, it's an incredible honor, and it's very exciting. It's very spiritual, and it provides you with great meat to eat. But bow hunting, it just takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
I mean, you're within 30 yards of an animal, of a wild animal that does not, and you've done everything you can not to let that animal know that you're there. It's in its natural environment. So it's got all the advantages.
Yeah.
And to take basically a stick with a string on it and shoot another stick at it, to me, it's one of the most spiritual things you can possibly do. It's just very, very, very intimate.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of fun. I was at a buddy of mine in South Texas. I was at his family's ranch and shot a great 10-point that morning with my rifle. And so I grabbed my bow the rest of the day, and I had 2 arrows with me, and which blew my mind that I only had 2 with me. But for some reason, I only had 2 with me. And these 2 does came out and were probably 20 yards, and I shot, and I missed. And it's like they just kind of looked up at me like, what the crap was that?
Yeah, because it's just wind, basically.
Yeah. And that arrow hit the ground, and it was kind of a rocky terrain, and so it bounced off and went somewhere else. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And so I got another arrow, and I put it in, and I drew back and shot, and I missed again. Well, the first time I shot under, the second time I shot over.
Yeah.
And I just rushed my shots is all it was. I mean, it was completely my fault. But those deer, the second time, they kind of ran off about 30 yards and just stood there looking around. And then they started eating here and there. I was able to climb down from the stand, grab both of my arrows, which my broadheads were basically destroyed by then, and I pieced together from both of those broadheads another broadhead and was not able to get another shot. But, I mean, that was a lot of fun. It was a very, very memorable experience, and I sit here and I laugh about it now because it's just probably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And the ribbing that I received that night was
Brutal.
was unbelievable.
Brutal?
Yeah, it was brutal. All get out.
What is your mental state? I can't imagine. I'm sure it's the same way with the gun, but with a bow, and you're talking about how intimate it is. What do you still get a little nervous?
Oh
when you
yeah,
bow hunt?
absolutely.
What do you do?
I mean, dude, if I'm sitting with my rifle,
Yeah.
okay, and I feel like I'm a very good shot with my rifle.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time shooting. I have good quality gear. There is no reason that if it's under 400 yards, if I shoot at something, it should not die. And I'll be honest with you, last year or the year before, I missed a couple of does like within 100 yards, and it was just rushing my shot, not
Right.
paying attention to what I was doing.
Right.
I don't even remember what.
But with the bow specifically, because I'm more fascinated personally in the mental and spiritual aspect of using the bow hunt, because you're so close. Like you said, the word intimate. You know, it's a different ball game. What do you do mentally as you're pulling back and getting your sights set? Like what is going through your mind?
Going through my mind is
Because everybody's different, I'm sure.
Yeah, everybody's different. I'm not necessarily worried about the shot. Okay, I put in enough time shooting and things like that I feel very confident in my shooting, and if I do everything up until that point, I can execute that shot. Now, the bigger the deer, the more the nerves are there because you got one shot.
Yeah.
You know, that time I shot at them does and missed twice, that's unheard of.
Yeah, right.
Typically, you got one shot, and if you don't execute it, that deer's gone.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about, first off, when I see the deer, it's being still, being quiet, and God, I hope my scent doesn't get to them. And it's, grabbing my bow, it's ranging the deer, because I'll take my rangefinder, range it so I know that it's 30 or 40 yards or 20 yards or whatever away. It's everything I do in preparing for that shot is what I worry about.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of movement that's got to happen. And when you're 20 or 30 yards from a deer, I'm 20 foot up in a tree stand. That's still not. I mean, you're in their environment. So like I said, you're what's out of place there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much technology you have, you're in their world.
Yeah, you're in their world.
Yep.
They have every advantage.
Right.
All these tools that we use, all the gear that we use, all that is chipping away at that advantage they have.
Right.
And so, I'm very careful of my movement. I'm very careful of my scent. The worst feeling in the world is when that deer is there and you are either fixing to draw back or you're grabbing your bow or whatever, and they see you before you're able to execute that shot. That's the worst feeling in the world for me because I screwed up.
Right.
I screwed the pooch on that deal.
Right.
And so the nerves part of it, that's what gets me is, okay, because you can prepare all day long. You can have your bow in your lap. You can do this. You can do that. You can have everything just ready to go, but it still takes that movement in order to get ready to make that shot, to execute that shot. All that is what what my nerves just go crazy about. Now, once I'm drawn back and my pin's there, I take a deep breath, I relax, and I execute the shot, and I'm good.
Does it feel like when you execute that shot, it's an eternity almost? Like, mentally, you know what I mean? Like there's certain parts in your life that go like that in a snap, but it feels like I can see this entire thing go.
Well, they're not for me.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, not for me because I'm so focused on what's going on.
Boom.
It's like I hadn't pushed record in my brain.
Okay.
I'm so focused on everything I'm doing and in the moment right now that I'd say 9 times out of 10, when I execute the shot, you can hear the arrow hitting the animal and passing through and things like that. If you made that good shot, but it's like, what just happened? Did I do this right? Did I do that? I mean, I am constantly second guessing myself when it happens because, they'll run a little bit, things like that. I'm like trying to replay everything. Did I do this right? Did I do that right? All this kind of stuff. Then I sit there and I'll give the animal 30, 40 minutes, something like that. And that whole time I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
When I get down and I see that animal, it's like total relief. That's when the excitement kicks in. That's when I'm just, all jacked up. So, that's kind of what it is to me is everything leading up to the execution of the shot. That's what drives me nuts.
Yeah. So it's September 14th. How many more days do we have until you're there?
Well, it's the 28th is when season opens.
So 14 days,
yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks to the day.
Yeah. Actually, it's 29th. So it's 2 weeks from tomorrow when it opens.
You ready?
I am. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm ready. I'll tell you the main reason why I'm ready. It's not necessarily. There's 1,000 different parts of it. There's the excitement of harvesting an animal. There's the thrill of being able to eat that meat. There's all that stuff. I'm just ready to hit the reset button because when I walk, I'm not playing. When I walk into the woods, now I'll have kids with me. They don't bow hunt with me. Okay, they're young. Most of my bow stands will only let one person sit there. I use my climber a lot during bow season, which is I carry it with me, strap around a tree and climb up the tree. Bow season is kind of the time where I get to hunt by myself.
Yeah.
And those times when I'm able just to kick back, relax, and kind of like what we talked about with Steve Scott at Whitetail Institute, just able, watch the world wake up around me.
It's awesome.
It is completely spiritual. It does more than you will ever know for my psyche and for my being.
That's awesome, man.
It does. Sitting in that tree in that evening and watching everything kind of bed down for the night.
Right.
Or, watch the birds when they quit singing and things like that. It's just watching the sun go down. I mean,
yeah.
It is, and then it's over. And
Yeah.
then you're like, it's dark. I'm climbing down. I'm telling you.
Then you get to fellowship with your bros.
It does more for me than anything else in this world.
It's awesome.
That's why I hunt.
It's awesome.
That is why I hunt.
Yeah.
It's because it puts me in a spot to where I completely just, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Not stuff at work, not stuff, on the home front or whatever. I'm not worried about doing this or doing that. I'm in that moment enjoying what God created.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's as raw as it gets for me.
It's awesome, man.
And so it does wonders for who I am.
Well, dude, thank you so much for letting me have that conversation with you on this episode. I've really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, dude, I did too.
I know it's your podcast, so just take control.
I was a little worried about this one. I was like stressing out about it.
No, I can't wait to do it again.
But it's just it went by fast, and
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot, and I hope our listeners enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think
it's completely different than anything we've done.
Well, it's more of an open conversation. I think that the listeners will appreciate it. And when hunt season comes up, I can't wait to have you and the cousins up in the studio to where, man, I'm just going to make y'all fight each other. Like I am that. You can ask TJ. That's my gift. Not hunting, but antagonizing. I can do that really well.
Yeah. So probably not next week. Next week's episode, I kind of got something lined out if it works out. But the week after that, the week before, that will be the 28th. That episode, we're going to try to do what we're going to call the campfire session. And we're going to do these sessions throughout the podcast life and things like that. But this one, we're going to sit down with hopefully Travis and Jason Owens, our cousins, who I hunt with all the time, and we're just going to talk about deer hunting.
And hopefully you guys will be able to understand. They speak a different language. It's Mount Enterpriseian language, so you might need a translator to communicate.
Well, that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Hey, I want to give a shout out to John Blake. He's our voice before the show and after the show. And John's a great, great guy. He is a great hunter himself. He's done incredible things for ducks in general. A huge member of Ducks Unlimited, and he's a great guy. And he's gonna spit it out right now and tell you guys how to follow us.
Thank you for listening to the Huntcast. Stay up to date with all new episodes, special guests, and appearances by following us on your favorite social media platform. Search the Huntcast on Facebook or on Twitter and Instagram at the Huntcast.